Here we go.
Okay, welcome everybody. Welcome to our session today. Today I'm sitting with my friend Simone Sota. Everybody has been looking forward to this session, and I'm so glad we can have it go ahead. Today we had a little bit of issues, but we're all good now. Simone, welcome. I think I'll give you a chance to introduce yourself. I think only you can do it best. But just to set the foundation, the goal of this session is to help us to discover a new way of building long-term authority and trust in the era of AI. And that is by leveraging a holistic visibility system that goes beyond social media. So you're going to walk away with a clear framework for becoming visible to both humans and AI systems, through the framework that Simone is going to walk us through. So, welcome, Simone. No pressure, but I set the expectations there, and please introduce yourself, and we'll kick it out from there.
Well, thank you so much for having me. So my name is Simone Sauter, and I am a PR and AIO strategist. I help established entrepreneurs and CEOs and business owners to build their credibility and their visibility in times of the AI era, because trust is we are in a trust recession, and trust is the biggest currency, the most important currency at the moment. And I do this by helping my clients with GEO, generative engine optimization, um, podcast interviews, and media interviews. And all of these three elements build my visibility triangle, that then explains again AIO, artificial intelligence optimization. And I do this, like new people are coming in.
Yeah.
I do this for 23 years, or I'm in the media and PR for more than 23 years. And obviously now AI entered the marketing world, like, I don't know, what, a year or 2 years ago,
Yeah.
really, when everybody started with it. Yeah, so that's what I do.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you. Thank you. We look forward to learning from you. I was like, what is PR? What is GEO? What is AIO? And I'm so glad you can explain all that for us. Welcome everybody who's just joining us. Please drop your questions in the chat. We'll have a session for Simone to answer them. But let's kick it here. Now, Simone, let's start from the beginning, because most business owners learn very early on in their journey that showing up consistently on social media is the way to go. And the more you show up, the more the algo is going to work for you. And therefore, the more your business is going to grow. But now we're saying that things have changed a little bit. Can you walk us through what has actually changed in the visibility landscape? And why aren't social media approaches only working today as they did 2 to 3 years ago?
Yeah, so 2 to 3 years ago, everybody was writing their social media content out of their head with their hands, and we knew this is what the person knows, right? So what they did research on, at least. Now everybody's joining, like everybody's, writing about, or could write about anything on social media, because AI is creating the content. So this is where people lose trust, right? So this is one component. And the other thing is that because everybody can create content with AI, social media is completely flooded. It's flooded with content, and our attention span got, like, less, like, shorter and shorter. And also, I'm not disagreeing that the more you show up on social media, the more visible you will be there. But it's also like, do you want to post 7, 8, 9 times on Facebook every day, on LinkedIn every day? Like, I don't have the time to do this, and I don't have the capacity to do this. If you really want to move the needle in your business, you have to do this nowadays. Like, and you have to have great content, not AI generated content, or at least great content that is, comes from your head and is not purely generated with AI. So, but from what I see happening is that everybody can show up on social media with content that is created by AI. We know this, like your clients know this, and this is why people lose trust a lot, because you can claim something, but if you don't get it verified, because now it's all about verification, it's hard to believe.
You're right, because I know at the beginning, AI content was frowned upon, and then at some point, everybody was like, "Yeah, it's okay. I think everybody's doing it." But then that's just lowers the trust levels because you don't know what is real and what is not. Now, you have a framework that creates compounding authority rather than one-off visibility moments. Can you break down your visibility triangle for us? And also, please explain for those who just joined us, what do GEO, AIO mean to somebody who's only familiar with SEO? Yeah, so
Yeah.
far. Yeah.
Yeah, so SEO, search engine optimizations. So that was basically where we optimize our text with keywords.
Mhm.
GEO is where we optimize for who we are. We need to teach Google who we are as a person, as a business owner, as an expert. And the way we do this is with what we call generative engine optimization, or same thing, different name, Google Entity Optimization. So this is a little bit of the technical part of the visibility triangle, but it is the foundation. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you clean up your digital footprint, right? Google your name and see what comes up. Then you have to have a clear messaging across the internet. Like, don't give yourself like five different titles. It's not media expert and then PR and AIO strategist and then podcast expert or whatever. Like, one title, one clear messaging across the board so that AI can connect the dots. Um, then what you want to do is you want to overhaul your website. Like, your website needs to have a couple of things like, a people schema, people schema markup, organization markup. So this is technical things, code that you need to create once. It's not as complicated as it sounds, but that's code that you create once, that you put on your website, that helps AI and Google to read the data. So those are machines, they need to read data, and you need to feed the data to the website. So this is the other thing. And then what you want to do is you want to create content on the website that is readable for AI, but is also useful information for your client, because AI needs a place where it can cite you, right? So if you want to be recommended or cited in AI, the content needs to come from somewhere. And now, if you think about how much content you create for social media and how long it takes you to create all this content, it's way faster to create content for your website, good content. You can create
Yeah.
it with AI, but you need to create it in a certain way. You cannot go to AI and say, like, write an article about PR, right? So you need to instruct AI in a certain kind of way, then you can create this content. So um, that's the foundation, right? So we have the geos, the technical backbone, and the goal of this foundation over time is to get a Google Knowledge Panel. So this is basically when you Google my name, you can see all those images on Google. You can see my little bio. You can see all my social media icons and my website and everything. So this is what we call a Google Knowledge Panel, and this is what we want to have, because when we have a Google Knowledge Panel, first of all, when people Google our name and they see this Google Knowledge Panel, you instantly are seen as an expert, because not everybody gets this, because it's work that is involved, and it's
Okay.
expertise that is involved to get this. But also, when you have this Google Knowledge Panel and all the other data points, um, AI will be able to see you as an expert, as a credible expert, because it is data that it can read, right? So basically, the foundation, you need to create data that is readable for AI and for Google, and tells Google and AI, this is me, and I am an expert in a like XYZ. So this is
Mhm.
the first step. And then the next step is the podcast interviews. Now, the podcast interviews, and let's go a step back. So
Mhm.
what we need to do is what I said, we need to create these data signals, those trust points. And the biggest trust point that we have are backlinks, or people and institutions that say this person is an expert, right? So I can say on my website, I can say I'm an expert. I am, an expert in this and this and that, and I can make things up. But if somebody else says Simone is an expert in
Okay.
PR and AIO, this is much more trustworthy for humans, but also for AI, which is why the biggest thing one of the most important things if we want to be visible in the times of AI on Google, but also in AI systems, is to build backlinks. And it was important already with search engine optimization, but now it became even more important. So this is what we need to know, because then the next step is podcast interviews in my triangle. And with podcast interviews, you create those third-party backlinks, right? When with the show notes, when the host links out to your
Okay.
website, but
Mhm.
also an interview, and AI can read video and audio and text, and it's becoming more and more sophisticated, right? So an interview is basically a long form blog post because you speak for 30 to 60 minutes. AI can read this and can use this content again to cite you and to see you as an expert. And on the other hand, for your clients, it's like they listen to you for 30 to 60 minutes. And in this time, you build this know, like, and trust factor because they have you in their ear for 30 to 60 minutes.
Mhm.
So this is the second part of the visibility triangle. And the third part is media, right? So media appearances, and you can get either featured in the media, that means you're interviewed and you get a link to the website, and then the journalist will use what you say, what you said to cite you, or you can be a contributor. And a contributor means you write the article yourself for the publication, and you're also being paid for that, right? For both, you get a backlink. Um, for the contributor, you're in charge of the messaging, which I much prefer, and is also easier to get. But with that, we get massive backlinks to our website and massive backlinks, um, like very high valuable backlinks for AI. So what you need to remember is the bigger the source that recommends you, the higher, like the more valuable the trust signal is. So if you are being interviewed on a podcast, on a smaller podcast, and you get a backlink, this is great because we want to go for high quality backlinks. But if you, for example, get interviewed by Forbes and you get a backlink for Forbes, this is a much higher trust signal than the podcast interview, right? This is also why I build it like this with my clients. We always start with geo, with a foundation. Then we
Mhm.
start with podcasts because on podcasts you also have a lot of low-hanging fruits and you can build quite some links pretty quickly, and you can work yourself up from smaller shows, medium-sized, bigger ones, and then the massive ones, although those are not always the biggest, the best shows. Um, and then once they get the ball up and rolling with a podcast, then we move to the media, or we add the media, and then the only thing that we do is basically post one or two blog posts per week on the website, which takes around 30 to 60 minutes max. Like with my first business was as a breakup and divorce coach. I built a website to 100,000 monthly organic readers with SEO and PR. But back then, I wrote all the blog posts by hand, obviously, because this was in 2014 when I started back then. And now it takes like 30 to 60 minutes to have like two very high quality blog posts on the website every week that are like that come out of your mind, like that with your concepts, with your ideas, but then written with AI, not by, but with AI. Um, and then so this is the one thing, like one to two blog posts per week, and then we pitch podcast shows every week, and we pitch to media every week. And this entire, like, you have the triangle, and this entire cycle is basically AIO, artificial
Okay.
intelligence optimization, right? So you optimize your online presence, your digital footprint, if you will, um, for AI so that AI can see it and register it. And the beauty about this is we train AI to do this, and then AI can see it, but humans can see it as well because we become visible in the machine, like in the large language models, ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude, um, and also in Google and in the Google AI mode. So when you Google something, you have this little AI mode thing now where it summarizes
Mhm.
everything that you do. And this is where we want to get into. And nobody's doing this so far. Everybody is, focused on like the prompts and like the next tool and, or like how
Yeah.
can I create more content for social media with AI? Whereas when you focus on what I just shared with you, you build long-term assets, right? So this is something that nobody can take away from you. And it doesn't matter if the algorithm is changed on social media or if anything else changes or any new tools come out, Like we live in a time that is so super fast-paced that we need to think about like um, long-term assets, like um, a long-term strategy. That's what I want to say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I see a question here. Let's see as we go. So Sage says, so you write blog post first with AI, then reach out to podcast when you can utilize for backlinks, right? Did I get that wrong? That's correct. Yeah, that's so
Yeah, that's
it's
correct.
website. Yeah.
You have the you build the foundation, and then you write the blog posts, and then like you write one or two blog posts every week for the website so that you have fresh content. You also want to update the older ones. And then, so if you have this foundation, then you're ready to reach out to podcasts. So for podcasts, you want to create speaking topics, 3 to 5 speaking topics. And then you pitch the same topics over and over, just at different shows.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, I have a question there. Media can feel overwhelming to people, when you
Mhm.
talk of Forbes and the likes, can you talk a little bit into that? If somebody was just getting started, maybe just give them some encouragement there on where to start.
With the media, yeah,
Yes.
so for the media, I have a different framework that's called my Publicity Rockstar Method. It's a six-step framework, man,
Okay.
on how to get into the media, right? So we have the foundation, right? So the very first step is you need to understand your ideal client, and you need to understand what you want to be known for and what, right? Because if you don't understand your ideal client, you don't know which kind of publications to pitch. If you don't know what you want to be known for, you don't know what kind of story ideas to pitch, because you obviously want to write
Mhm.
about what you want to be known for. Um, then the second step is the hit, which stands for the audience, right? So you want to create your list of publications that you want to be in, right? So I always say, like, come up with 10 publications and then focus on 3 to start with, because otherwise it's getting too overwhelmed. Then the next step is come up with story ideas. So you want to go to the publication. You want to look at what do they publish, like what's interesting to their readers. And then you want to think about how can I add value to this publication's audience. And then you come up with story ideas. You describe them a little bit, and then in the fourth step, you have the pitch, right? So where
Mhm.
you write the email. So in the email, yeah, that depends a little bit on how you write the pitch. If you want to be featured, like interviewed, or if you want to contribute, write the article. But bottom line is always like, hey, this is me. I'm an avid reader and I would like to contribute. This is what I can do for you, right? So,
Okay.
and then you have the story ideas, and then you send the pitch. And then the
Okay.
next step is basically the delivery, right? So
Mm.
you writing the article or you having the interview. And then the sixth step is the promotion, like you need to leverage it for clients, cash, and reputation, as I always say.
Yeah.
So if we
Yeah.
don't do this, then we um like it's a lot of work to do this.
Okay.
And we should leverage it. And obviously, now it's not only for a client's cash and reputation, it's also for the backlinks for AI.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. Thank you very much and for taking us through the visibility triangle. And if anybody is interested, Simone left her website and you can download a copy of her guide on all that. But let's move to the next segment and talk about what do AI systems actually need to see to recognize you as an expert? And how can we as business owners intentionally engineer those signals? For AI to recognize us accordingly.
Yeah. So for AI to be able to recognize us, they need trust signals and they need a clear
Mhm.
messaging, right? So you want to be crystal clear in who you are, what you do, who you serve. And then you want to have this message across the board, right? On all social media platforms, like the same bio. Um, that you want to write about this, only about your niche topic, because what you want to create is you want to create a signal density around a specific topic. And what that means is you want to create backlinks and content just around what you want to be known for. So this
Mhm.
is super important. And then you want to create these trust signals, as I just said, like you want to be
Yeah.
on podcasts, you want to be in the media, or you want to be, like this a guest speaker opportunity now. You will also link back to my website,
Yeah.
which is then again, it's inside of school, and AI and Google can also see it. It's a backlink to my website. Somebody else says like, hey, this person is great, this person is an
Mhm.
expert.
Yeah.
So this is basically what we are aiming for.
Okay. 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 Sage has a question. I'll let her ask her question, I think, because it's around this discussion. You want to go ahead, Sage?
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Actually, I wanted to ask Simone, like, you mentioned that first you are writing the blogs and all, and then you are reaching out to the podcast, like with your specific stories angle in mind. So I wanted to know, like, just curious, when you are writing your blog post with the help of AI, it is specifically done so that when you are reaching to the podcast people, they can search about you and they can see you like in the form of blog post. Is that what you mean, or is it something like first you reach out to them for like with your stories that you want to share with them, and then you pitch them? Like the first step is not pitching, like something. I'm getting confused. Can you just clarify that thing again? Sorry.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so the blog posts do not relate, like they have nothing to do with the podcast pitching. The blog post is one thing that you have on the website, and that is for your clients to read, for your clients to build the trust, but also for AI to see you as the expert in your specific topic and to have a foundation for AI to cite you, right? So if somebody asks a question to AI about your specific niche, and your website is well structured and your content is well structured, then AI will cite you, right? And then it will say, Sage, and I don't know your last name, says like da, 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 and then you have it cites all the content from you, but the blog post does not has nothing. What's wrong with my English today? The blog posts don't have anything to do with the podcast pitching. So those are apart. It's just with the podcast, you build the backlinks and you create long form content. And the blog post is long form content as well. So what we want to do is we want to create as much content, as much valuable content as possible, so that AI has a foundation to cite us. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes, yes. So then when we reach to the podcast people, we can suggest them with our topics or stories in mind. And then when they let us know, we can pitch them. So is that what you're trying to imply?
So with the podcast shows, it's basically you want to create a podcast list, right? So podcast shows that you want to be on, and then you want to think of speaking topics, like what can you speak about? And the most crucial part is always that first of all, you speak about something that you want to be known for. That's number one, and the
Yes.
Yeah.
second is that you want to add value, right? So you want to add value to the audience of the host. We cannot pitch a podcast host, say like, hey, look, this is me and I'm so amazing, I just published a book, I want to promote my book on your show. This is not how it works. We want to go and we want to offer something of value, and then they will reply to you or they will not. You also need to follow up, but when they reply to you, then they say, hey, Sage, it sounds interesting what you have to say, I would like to have you on my show. Then they will tell you how to move on, right? So often they have a form that will tell you, can you please fill in the form, or can you please schedule your interview here? And then you get a calendar link. So this is basically how it works. But your
Mm.
job is to come up with ideas, to find the right shows, send the pitch, and then follow up. And as soon as someone says yes, then you get on the show and then you speak about your topic.
Okay. Yeah.
Ah,
Thank you. And
perfect, perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're
thank you.
welcome.
Yeah. And I'm sure Simone will leave her details and we can follow up or find her.
Yes.
Yeah. Please drop your questions if anybody else has in the chat. Simone, I just have a question here. How do podcasts and media mention feed into AI differently from social media? Can you help us
Yeah. Yeah.
the difference there? Yeah.
So the biggest difference again is on social media, I can say everything about myself, and how great I am and what I know and whatnot. And with the media and with podcasts, it doesn't work like this because other people listen to me, other people confirm my knowledge and my expertise. And with
Hmm.
social media, it just doesn't. So that's also why
Okay.
AI does not look at social media, with the exception of LinkedIn. So we can see that LinkedIn, if you publish articles on LinkedIn, for example, so you can write blog post articles and you can use the same articles and republish them on LinkedIn. This is the platform where I looks at. Um, uh, and my guess is because it's the most professional social media platform that we
Yeah.
have in comparison to TikTok and Instagram, where everybody's on, where LinkedIn is more like the a professional network. But for the rest, social media doesn't really matter. Um, and also your following doesn't really matter. So whereas in the beginning or like earlier, people with a 1 million followers, they would have had a high trust level. That doesn't
Yeah.
say anything to AI because everybody can buy followers, and even if you sincerely build it, it's not interesting. Like interesting is only what do third parties say, like how many backlinks do you get, and also is the content in your realm of expertise, and what you want to be known for.
Okay, okay. No, that makes a lot of sense. I know a lot of people don't want to be on LinkedIn, but I mean, there are other ways to build that visibility, like you've explained. Um, can you explain to us, please, the difference between visibility and credibility, especially for anybody just starting? These two are very different. Could you walk us through the difference in terms of how that is seen from an AI perspective?
Yeah, so I mean, visible, you can be visible, right? You can be on social media, you can also be on podcasts, for example. But credibility is really built if you engineer it. I mean, yes, you also build credibility if you're just on a podcast. But what you
Hmm.
want to do is you want to, in the foundation with a generative engine optimization, you want to put the dots together for AI. Because what I see a lot of people do is like they have podcast interviews, or they sometimes even have media, but the AI cannot put the dots together because they didn't do the foundational work, right? The tech work,
Hmm.
where they actually write their people schema markup, that's what it's called, so that we say to Google, hey, this is actually who I am and this is what I want to be known for. And by the way, this website also belongs to my website, right? So I have my main business and I have a hobby, like a platform on school, like for moms and perimenopause. But I need to teach Google that this is me as well, because otherwise you have, like a scattered appearance across the
Hmm.
web, and that's not what you want. So, and it sounds complicated, but it's actually not as complicated as it sounds. There are just a foundational work. So, and what I said, like with the people schema markup, this is something you do once, and then you update it every couple of months if something changes, or if like your title changes, but then if your title changes, you need to do this across the board again to be consistent with your messaging. So yeah.
Hmm. Okay. I think maybe it's similar to what I think it used to be called domain authority with SEO,
Mhm.
where, yeah, something like that. Okay. Okay. All right. We are getting close here. There's another question. Pinterest. Does Pinterest count?
Mhm.
Or is that looked at as social media
Yeah,
as
that's
well?
looked at social media.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
because you post
Okay.
you put it you post it yourself. Otherwise, it would be really easy because with Pinterest you can pin all the pins and get all the backlinks.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, no.
Wow.
So your suggestion on how to use AI in a way that shows up for creating long form content in the first place, because that's how. What? Your suggestion on how to use AI for creating your long form content in the first place, because
Yeah. Yeah. I
well, I
think
mean,
that.
yes. So that is basically, it's the foundation, right? So you
Mhm.
you want to start, and I always tell my clients, start with like 6 blog posts if you have nothing at all, and then write 1 to 2 per week, and it will add up really quickly. But then also what you need to do is you need to keep everything up to date, right? So if you are in the AI niche, as I am, for example, you need to update the content more. If you're, for example, like a health coach, and nutrition nutrition advice doesn't really change a lot, right? So if you are a keto person, this is what you recommend for your for your clients, then this is what you recommend for your clients. And you don't have to do a lot of updating. But if you're in business or if you're in investing or like in any industry where things change really quickly, then you also need to look at past articles and update them.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. All right. Thank you. I don't see other questions. Please let us know if you have any question. But lastly, Simone, if someone was starting today, right, and I think maybe you've already talked into it, what would you advise them to do this week? I think you already spoke into it, but maybe just to summarize.
This week, so the first thing what I would do is like Google your name, like Google yourself and see what
Okay.
comes up.
Yeah.
And then have a look at, is everything that you see, what do you want Google to know, right? Like for example, I when I cleaned everything up, I deleted my entire Pinterest account because I'm not on Pinterest. And there were like, a very old bio and a profile that I didn't really like. So I just removed it because I didn't like it, right? And I don't
Mhm.
use it. So Google yourself, go through your digital footprint and see what comes up. Also see, are there other people called like you are? Like, do you have a unique name or are you like Sarah Miller, where there is more competition? So those are all things like this is the first thing that I would do.
Okay.
And then the second thing I would do is I would audit your website and see, is your website up to date? And then yeah, is it informative for a human? Like for example, your about page. Do you talk about yourself, but do you also talk about your client and about the transformations that you can get for your clients? Um, and that's where I would start, like with those foundations, because most people don't Google their own name. They have no
Yeah.
idea what shows up when they Google their name.
Oh my goodness. Or things from 5, 10 years ago show up and they're ruining your reputation and you have no idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's a good idea, yeah. We have a question. Did I understand it right that you have two niches that are different from each other? How do you create the consistency and let AI know? Yeah, so like if you're in two different niches, I think that's what the question is about.
Yes, you can do that. So what I do with my business, so I have my main business, my PR and AIO business. This is what I create content for. This is what I have a website for. And for my other business hobby, I have only a school community for moms in perimenopause. So I don't create content outside of school. So it's only on school. But you can do this. You just need to tell Google and AI, this is what I do. And you do this with your people schema markup and with your organization schema markup. So this is code that you need to write, that you need to put on the website. And then on the website, specifically on the About page, you need to talk about both businesses. So when you go to my About page, you can see in just one sentence at the bottom of the page that Dear Burnout Mom is my community for moms in perimenopause. Um, and then there is a link to the school so that AI can see, oh, okay, this belongs to her. But you also have to say this in this like little piece of code that this belongs to you. So it's absolutely possible to teach AI that. But it's actually also very simple. You just need to have this piece of code and add it to the website.
Okay, and then
Does that
choose
answer
which
your
one to
question?
prioritize, yeah? Yeah, Julia, does that answer your question? Yeah, I think that's clear. Yes, thank you.
Perfect.
All right. Any other question? Otherwise, I encourage you. Simone has contributed a generous gift. You can see it in her classroom. So head on there in the classroom and get a copy if you haven't. Where can people find you if they're interested in this topic? I know you mentioned school for moms in perimenopause, but what about this other topic? How can people get to you?
Yeah, so I also have a school community, but I will only launch it 31st of March for the PR and AIO topic. As for now, you can reach me on my website, simonesauter.com, or on LinkedIn. That is the only platform that I'm, well, semi-active on. But if you send me a message there, I will see it. If you send me a message on Instagram or anywhere else, I will not see it because I'm not active there. So I just really, yeah, like to
Okay.
focus on one social media platform. So yeah.
Yeah, I think from
Mm.
what we've heard from you, it's important to prioritize,
Yeah.
if you want,
Yeah.
yeah, if you want visibility that compounds. Yeah, okay, thank you guys. Yeah, thanks. If people are saying thank you. I also want to say thank you very much for being here with us and for giving us a lot to think about. I will say for the longest time, I never thought I needed a website. So there's definitely something for me to think as well. But
And
thank you.
if
Yep.
I can interrupt, there are still people
Hmm.
who say that you don't need this, and
Hmm.
you don't need this if you only want to make sales, right? So you can absolutely work your butt off on social media and cold message people, cold call people. You can make sales without a website, you know. But if you want to build a sustainable business, like a future-proof business, something long term, you need a website.
Hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
this is
Hmm.
like because where else would you post content that AI can read and cite? You know, everybody wants to be cited and recommended in AI, but if you don't create a basis and a foundation that and tell AI, hey, this is actually the place where I can get my knowledge and actually share it with others, you
Yeah.
know. Yeah. So yeah, you can totally
And
run a business without a website, but you cannot build a long-term sustainable brand and business if you don't have a website.
And for Substack fans like myself, does it count? Do you know if Substack counts? The likes of Medium, Substack.
That's a good question. What I personally would do is I would first publish it on the website and then publish it on Substack. Like publish it on
Okay.
the website first, wait for 3 days, and then publish it on Substack so that you
Okay.
repurpose it. And the same with LinkedIn, so that your website is always the primary source where you published
Mhm.
it. And that, you know, the hub for AI to actually get the content. And then you can just move it and you can republish it on Substack.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you very much, Simone. I think that's all we had for today. If you're watching the recording, Simone will still be in the community for the rest of this week. So you can drop your questions and she will happily answer them. Otherwise, thank you for joining us. There's one last question. Do you have some insight on writing on platforms that aren't a website? Okay, so I think that's what that's what we just
Substack or
talked
Medium.
about.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's exactly. We can
Yeah.
totally do this. Like you can go on Substack and Medium and all those places, but always repurpose. Like make your website the first hub. And
Mhm.
also, for example, if you are a contributor to larger publications, then they will publish the article firsthand. So, for example, if you're like, well, Forbes is the holy grail. Everybody wants to be
Yeah.
for or wants to write for Forbes. So you can, if you're a Forbes contributor, you can publish it for Forbes, and then 5 days later, you can use the same article and publish it on your website. This is something you have to ask the editor.
Okay.
It depends on the publication. But if you write the article anyways, and it will be published for in another publication, then you can also use it. Why 3 or 5 days? Because then Google can index it. Google can actually index it and see that this was the original source, and then you just can repurpose it.
Okay. Okay. Makes sense. Makes sense. So it's better to publish again than to link it. Yeah.
Well, in Medium, you can add the link, and then it will automatically be imported, and then it will say this article originally was published, and then on the website. Um, so that's what I would do with Medium, and then on LinkedIn, you can just use the same text and republish it.
Hmm. So does it matter if it is 3 or 5 days? Maybe three minimum, you'd say?
Yes, I always wait like 3 days with like my normal content. Like Forbes is 5 days because they want to own the content for 5 days. But with all the content that I write for my website and I republish anywhere else, I wait for 5 days just to be sure. But 3 days
Okay.
is fine as well.
Okay. 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 Thank you. As you can see, there's a lot of interest here, and I'm sure people will be looking for you. So expect expect many more questions to follow, maybe through email and all that. But thank you for clarifying things for us and for being here. And yeah, thank you, everybody. And I wish you a good day. Enjoy the rest of the bundle, and we will see you again on Friday for the closing session. Thanks. Thanks, Simone. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Bye,
Thanks.
everyone.
Bye.